LV55 Media LLC presents the Heroes of Montford Point interview series featuring Montford Point Marine Joseph Geeter, Part 2, hosted by Patricia Williams.
So it sounds like this process for getting the Congressional Gold Medal took about 5, 6, 7 years. What were some of the biggest challenges you ran into?
The biggest challenge was first not knowing what I was doing and not having any help and having people believe in a vision. When you have a vision, sometimes it's in your head, it's in your mind, and as hard as I try to communicate it to people and I can see down the line, sometimes they just don't get it. So that was probably the hardest, is convincing them that I was going to get it done and let's be prepared for it. Because when I first thought about it, I saw the end already. And I said, when it gets done, they're going to ask us to validate your service. So I was encouraging members to give me copies of their discharge in advance, and they were kind of reluctant. For the first 2 or 3 years, I only received 40 copies of discharges. But after the gold medal was signed in the law, I was receiving 40 a day.
Wow.
So they believed it after it was done. A lot of them did, but that was the greatest challenge. And going down to D.C. and not knowing what I was doing, just walking the halls looking for targets of opportunity. That's what I call them. If I see somebody in the hallway, I would just walk up to them and talk to them. And what do you know about the Montford Pointers? And I was approached by John McClain, senator from Arizona. I was in the Senate building, and he happened to walk out his office. He saw me. He pretty much asked me what I was doing in this building.
Oh, really?
John McClain, Senator McClain. And
okay.
he looked at my cover, and he saw the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor in my cover and knew I was a Marine. And he asked me, what are you doing here, Marine? And I introduced myself, told him I was here for the Montford Pointers. I was trying to get the Congressional Gold Medal. And he looked at me pretty intently and kind of gave me a look and said, something like that's going to be the easiest piece of legislation I signed. And I knew I had a chance there. And I just said, if I can get a Republican senator from Arizona, but he's a military guy too. We all know his story about him being a POW in Vietnam, and he knew about the Montford Pointers. When I said Montford Point, he knew. I didn't have to explain who they were. I said I was here with the Montford Pointers, and he gave me a nod, pretty much like you just did there, a knowing nod. And I said, we got a chance to get this done. And that really encouraged me just to keep going.
Nice. You mentioned that you had an uncle who was a Montford Point Marine.
Well, actually, he wasn't a Montford Point Marine. He served with the Montford Pointers.
Oh, he served.
When the Montford Pointers, a lot of times people don't see things all the way through. When they had the Montford Pointers established, nobody really thought that they're going to need Navy corpsmen in case these guys get hurt. And a lot of the white Navy corpsmen already said they would not attend to the Montford Pointers. They won't help them out.
Wow.
So they took a lot of African-American men, sent them to a place called Camp Robert Small, a segregated part of Great Lakes, and sent them to corpsman school to learn medical procedures. My uncle happened to be one of them. And after he graduated from school, they sent him to Montford Point to deploy to the Pacific with the Montford Pointers. And my uncle, Robert Reed, deployed to the Pacific, to Guam, and he actually served with the Montford Point Marines.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very interesting story.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Wish he was alive to see this.
Do you remember what story sticks in your mind? Do you remember any of the stories that he told you? Is there one that sticks in your mind?
None at all, because when I was growing up, I was interested but not interested, because my father and my uncle both served. They both went to recruit training together. They were both medical people. My father was a pharmacist mate. My uncle was a Navy corpsman. And they didn't talk about it too much. I knew he served. I knew he was with some black folks overseas, but I didn't know they were Montford Point Marines. I didn't know their history until I came into the Marine Corps. And then it all came back. I was like, my uncle was part of this. So I got to do this for my uncle, my dad, who could not get in the Marine Corps at the time because he didn't think they were allowed. Blacks were allowed in the Marine Corps at the time, so he went to the Navy. So it's a good connection.
Thank you.
Special thanks to Jimmy Michael Truitt and the National Montford Point Marine Association. This episode was recorded on location at the 4 Points by Sheridan, San Diego, California, on February 28, 2013.